3 suspects have been arrested in connection to a mass shooting that took place in Sacramento, California over the past weekend. Now, before we get to the suspects who have been arrested, here are the details of the shooting. The shooting took place just after 2 a.m. Pacific time Sunday and left 6 people dead, 12 wounded, and a chaotic crime scene littered with more than 100 shell casings. Police have said the investigation is highly complex and involves many witnesses, numerous videos, and significant physical evidence. In fact, there are videos of the scene, uploaded online, the scenes of the shooting, the aftermath of the shooting. You see cars just immediately speeding away, and it appears that the people speeding away might be the suspects, but don't judge anything based on what you see in like videos posted online, because some people might have been scared, maybe they were running away or driving away quickly when they heard the gunshots. It was chaos, and it is unfortunately far too common in this country. And the reason why this is getting a lot of attention is because this mass shooting happened in a state that takes gun control far more seriously. California has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, but for right wingers who like to bring that up as a gotcha, gun control doesn't work. Let me just remind everybody that we live in a country, and California is not a private island somewhere that doesn't like share borders with other states. California is part of the United States, and if you want actual common sense gun reform to have an impact, it would need to be done through federal legislation, of which, by the way, Biden brought up and was like, "Oh wow, another mass shooting. Someone should do something about this." I'm not even kidding. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but it was essentially that message. Oh, what a shame. Another mass shooting. Someone should really check out, what the solutions are here. Now, this is where things get a little spicy. And I just want you guys to try to follow the argument that I'm making, because while some think that we just need gun control in the state of California, I actually disagree in terms of whether or not that would have an impact on mass shootings like this. I'm not saying I disagree with gun reform or gun control. I want gun control, but it needs to be done on a federal level. Otherwise, you just go to another state and easily purchase a gun with no problem. Now, video posted online appears to show some sort of altercation before the shooting took place. Police are investigating it to see whether or not the altercation was in any way connected to the shooting. But here is one of the videos that were posted, and I want to show it to you because it not only shows you the altercation that they're investigating, it also shows you how terrifying that scene is as the mass shooting begins. Now, police suspect that there were multiple shooters, but again, they're still investigating this. And while there have been suspects arrested, these are people who have been charged. They still need to go through trial. No one's been convicted yet. Obviously, the shooting just took place. But with all those caveats, let's get to the suspects here. Dondre Martin, 26, and Smiley Martin, 27, were taken into custody Monday and Tuesday. The brothers are believed to be responsible for firing into the downtown Sacramento crowd, according to Sacramento Police Officer Chad Lewis. Chad Lewis also, shared some details, and here they are. Dondre Martin and Smiley Martin, they are related. They happen to be brothers. Now, Chad Lewis, the Sacramento police officer, also said that Dondre has been charged with felony possession of a firearm and assault with a firearm, indicating that they believe that he was one of the shooters. The firearm, Lewis says, was modified from its original condition with a component that made it capable of firing automatic gunfire and would classify it as a machine gun by California law. So again, felony possession of a firearm, meaning that he had an illegal weapon. So gun laws in this case didn't stop him from obtaining this illegal weapon or modifying his weapon. So it was automatic or a machine gun. Now let's get to Smiley, because this is where things get interesting, and I think we need to be honest about what's going on here. So Smiley Martin was found at the scene of the shooting early Sunday with serious injuries from gunfire and taken to a local hospital, the Sacramento Police Department said in a news release. Once Smiley Martin's medical care is complete, he will be booked at the Sacramento County main jail on charges of possession of a firearm by a prohibited person and possession of a machine gun, police said. Now, why was he prohibited from possessing a firearm? Well, it turns out that he was one of the people who was able to take advantage of the early release program that Gavin Newsom announced early last year in 2021. Now, when we talk about criminal justice reform, when we talk about rehabilitative justice, that means more than just releasing people from prison. That means reforming our prisons into something that actually, carries out rehabilitation rather than just serving as a place of torture, of inmate rape. Nothing's been done on that front at all. But Gavin Newsom did announce that he's implementing a policy of early release for some of these inmates, to the tune of, by the way, 76,000. Okay. Thinking behind that was, okay, this makes sense, right? Because we have a ton of nonviolent offenders who are locked away. These are people who do not pose a threat to society. And it makes all the sense in the world to get them out of prison and to put them in programs where they can be rehabilitated, where they can get some help, whatever it is, support basically, like actual restorative justice. But that is not what's happening in California. And I get it. I get that people like automatically want to jump on me because they think that I want people to be locked up in prison forever. But no, my problem with California is that there's no rehabilitation. And the people who are being released early from prison aren't just nonviolent individuals. They're people who have committed very serious and violent crimes. So let's get back to Smiley, okay? Smiley Martin has a criminal record stretching to 2013. And last year was the subject of a plea by Sacramento County District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert's office that he would not win early release from prison, where he was serving a 10-year sentence for domestic violence and assault with great bodily injury. Domestic violence, look, I gotta be honest with you guys. As a woman, I'm not really interested in treating people who carry out vicious domestic violence with kid gloves. Doesn't mean I want them in prison forever, but just releasing them early with no real rehabilitative plan, with no monitoring, is insane. I mean, this guy was able to possess a freaking machine gun. How did authorities not know about it? Did he not have someone that he was checking in with? Was he getting counseling? Like, okay, he was released early. What happened after that? I want to know. Because simply releasing people early, not restorative or rehabilitative justice, but let me give you more. So this is from the letter that the district attorney's office had sent to the parole board, urging them to avoid releasing him nearly 6 years early. Remember, he got a 10-year prison sentence. Inmate Martin's criminal conduct is violent and lengthy, Deputy District Attorney Danielle Abelgard wrote in a 2-page letter to the Board of Parole Hearings on April 23rd, 2021, opposing his release. The letter, obtained by the Sacramento Bee, though, through a public records request, details offenses including robbery, possession of a firearm, and also giving false information to police. Now, here's where we get the details on what he did in the domestic violence case that got him a 10-year sentence. He beat up his girlfriend. He forced himself into her home. He located her hiding in her bedroom closet and hit her repeatedly with a closed fist on the face, head, and body, causing visible injuries. He then dragged her out of the home by her hair to an awaiting car. After he put her in the car, he assaulted her with a belt. He was also trafficking her, by the way. And as you can see, the dude's violent. So imagine saying no as he's trying to pimp you. During the investigation, information was gathered that again, I'm reading verbatim from the letter that the district attorney's office sent. During the investigation, information was gathered that the victim had been working as a prostitute and that inmate Martin had been assisting and encouraging her to be one. Text messages and social media conversations revealed that he would tell her what kind of sex buyer she should date, how much money to charge, how to accept payment, and what form of payment she should accept. Let me note that he was sentenced to 10 years in January of 2018, and he was released early, as I've said repeatedly, February of 2022, meaning, little over a month ago, he was released. And then now he's implicated in a mass shooting. He was found in possession of illegal weapons, including a machine gun. And the district attorney's office also pleaded and said in their letter, if he's released early, he will continue to break the law. And guess what? He did. Allegedly, he hasn't been convicted yet, but they did find the weapons. That's a bit of an issue. So look, I just want to be clear with the audience, and you can take it or leave it. You can love me or hate me. It's totally fine. I think it's important for us to share our ideas, even if it's uncomfortable, even if we disagree. I want you to know what reform means to me. Reform to me is not giving Gavin Newsom and some of these district attorneys in California a pat on the back because they managed to get tens of thousands of people released early from prison. And then that's it. That's not restorative justice to me. Releasing violent criminals without a plan in place to ensure that you're keeping the public safe, not restorative justice to me. I have no problem with releasing people early if you do have a plan in place. If there is the appropriate monitoring, if there is a rehabilitative plan in place to ensure that the person who committed the crime is getting the help that they need to be a member of society that doesn't put others in jeopardy, but we don't have any of that. No prison reform whatsoever, none, 0%. This guy, I don't even know, did he have like a parole officer? Did he have anyone? How was he able to do all of this, obtain the kind of weapons that he had? What kind of rehabilitative program did they enter him into? Was it court mandated? And when I say court mandated, I mean mandatory, meaning he has to do it. And if he doesn't do it, he's back behind bars. What happened here? I have a real problem with the left, like just glossing over these cases as if it's no big deal. It is a big deal. And I think there is a difference between violent crime and nonviolent crime. What has California done so far to reform policing in the state? Forget federal laws. I mean, the federal government has failed miserably when it comes to reform. Now, to be fair to Gavin Newsom, he did sign into law some version of doing away with qualified immunity to ensure that if cops are carrying out, the kind of brutality that we've seen in one video after the next, there is an increased possibility of them being held accountable. But I do want to also remind you, there are still cops who are caught on video in states like California doing all sorts of terrible things to suspects, like punching 14-year-olds in the face as they're trying to arrest them. In fact, that reminds me, one of the cops in California did just that and has been rehired by the same department that had previously let him go for the incident that we're talking about here. What happened to real police reform? None of that, none of that. What are the robust rehabilitative programs? None of that. I haven't seen any of that. I mean, and then when it comes to police reform, I mean, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department still has, just that pesky little problem of gang affiliations. Anyone doing anything about that? Anyone? No? Oh, okay, let's just release tens of thousands of people from prison and then, brand it as criminal justice reform and call it a day. And by the way, Gavin Newsom did that without allowing for any public comment, he did it unilaterally. And I don't think the Californians signed up for that. Californians want criminal justice reform, but I don't think anyone was really down with early release for tens of thousands of people, many of whom have committed violent crimes, with no real program in place to make sure that they're getting the rehabilitation they need, and also to ensure that the public's safety is intact. It's a failure, and I want the left to start acknowledging that, because the window to do something effective and substantive about criminal justice reform is closing real quickly. And it's because we keep seeing stories like this over and over and over again. One final thing I want to read to you. So when I talk about the early release program, again, I'm definitely open to it. I'm 100% open to it when it comes to nonviolent inmates. When it comes to people who have committed violent crimes, I want to know what the detailed program is, and we haven't seen much of that. More than 63,000 inmates convicted of violent crimes will be eligible for good behavior credits that shorten their sentences by 1/3 instead of 1/5 that had been in place since 2017. That includes nearly 20,000 inmates who are serving life sentences with the possibility of parole. You don't get a life sentence unless you've done something pretty bad. And so again, you can have a problem with life sentences. I certainly do. I don't think anyone should serve the rest of their lives in prison unless there's proof that they're a severe danger to society. But just releasing them with no plan in place, the pendulum's gonna swing in the mass incarceration extreme again, and the left is asleep at the wheel or giddily encouraging what we're seeing in California. And I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. Sorry. Not in favor of encouraging domestic violence and sex trafficking.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.